How's the Josh, or spirit should we say? Definitely high for the tipplers in India and more so for the liquor companies who are looking at billion-dollar more opportunities in world's second most populous nation, that is India. Rising disposable income, changing lifestyle, the large youth population, global exposure, and definitely premiumization, among other factors, are driving a market that is, however, categorized in the sin industry. Yes, we are talking about the alcohol industry, and to be precise, the single malt business in India, which is seeing a lot of fizz, and there is the projection of this industry growing many folds. Scotch whisky exports to India grew at an annual rate of 66% until 2022, according to data from the UK-based Scotch Whisky Association. However, in 2023, something historic happened. For the first time ever, Indian single malts outsold international brands in India. According to the Confederation of Indian Alcoholic Beverage Companies, out of 675,000 cases of single malt whisky sold in India last year, Indian brands sold 345,000 cases, while Scottish and international brands sold 330,000 cases. Amrut recently launched Expedition, which is the oldest single malt ever produced in the country. Well, it will be retailed at rupees 10 lakh and 50,000 per bottle. Sounds crazy, right? But here's the kicker. By the time it was launched in late February, 60% of the 75 limited edition bottles were already pre-booked. As Amrut's head distiller Ashok Chokalingam put it,
if you want a Rolls Royce, you have to spend. You can't ask for a Rolls Royce and you wanted to pay them the 800 price. It's not going to happen.
In 2009, Amrut Fusion won Malt Maniac's Daily Drams Award. It was also ranked the third best whiskey in the world by whiskey expert Jim Murray. The industry now had to take notice. With homegrown brands on the rise, even the biggest global players are taking notice. Diageo and Pernod Ricard, two of the biggest whiskey giants, have launched their own Indian single malts, a clear sign that they don't want to miss out on this booming market. According to ICRA, India's alco-bev sector is expected to grow 8 to 10% this year, with premium spirits leading the charge. With changing regulatory landscape and many other factors, the Indian single malt story is on the rise. The question now is, how high will the spirits soar? We all know that there is a premiumization trend that is going on in India. And among that, there is another big trend that's happening. The Indian single malt whiskey, they are on the rise. And if you talk about certain brands, Amrut is one of them, winning coveted awards at multiple functions. Here we are speaking with the MD and CEO of Amrut, Mr. Rakshit Jagdale. Hello, sir.
Hello.
So I wanted to understand, Amrut has now launched what you are saying, the costliest Indian single malt. In an industry where price disruption is the winning strategy, be it OTT, be it telecom, or be it the cola market now, what gives you the confidence that Indians will actually spend a lot more on the Desi single malt?
That's a good question. Off late over the past, I won't say off late, over the past at least 10 years, what we have been witnessing in India over the past decade is this aspect of premiumization in the alcobev business industry in India, where people are aspiring now to drink better quality and than quantity. And also disposable incomes have gone up like anything in India, which is another good trend to notice. And people now, they earlier, say about 20 years, 2 decades ago, people would keep a blended Scotch at home. But today, if you go to anybody's house, they would like to keep a single malt whiskey. Whether it comes from India, it's fantastic, or whether it's Scotch or Japanese, or Irish, they want to keep a single malt whiskey at home and when they're entertaining people. So, with that in mind, I think people will always want to aspire to buy something that's luxurious. And I think that trend in India is going to continue, and we are happy to see that trend picking up.
So you mentioned about Scotch, you mentioned about Japanese whiskey.
Yes, please.
So you think Indians are ready to spend their buck on Indian single malt now?
Oh, yes, absolutely. See, if you look at, say, a market like India, where each state has its own alcohol beverage policy, Indian single malts, we stand on our own. The entire category, as you're seeing, is growing exponentially well. Having witnessed that, Pernod Ricard is now setting up Asia's largest malt distillery in Maharashtra. Diageo, the world's largest distiller, has launched Godawan. So I think the whole world is coming to India to be in the Indian single malt whiskey space, and I think as Indians we feel proud in buying that is something that's made in India. So we are happy that this trend will continue to grow.
So
Yes,
you
please.
mentioned Diageo, you mentioned Pernod Ricard. So that is one of my questions.
Yeah.
That all global brands are ramping up their play in India. They also either want to make in India or make products for India. So is that a threat for Indian single malt whiskey makers?
No, in fact, if you look at it from Amrut's perspective, we welcome it because more the number of players, consumers get to experience a variety of single malt whiskies coming from India, and it's only going to help the category grow. So we are happy that multinationals, Diageo and Pernod, have realized the fact that India and Indian single malt category is a category that they must look at it more seriously, and we welcome that, and we're happy the category is going to grow over a period of time.
So what sets Indian single malt apart from a Scotch or a Japanese whiskey? What's the difference?
The main difference is the barley. We use Indian barley, which is grown in northwest India, comes from Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, and is malted in the maltings in North India. And each one of us makes it in a different way. And the thing about Indian single malt whiskies, we haven't copied any other Scotch, any other malts coming from any part of the world, whether it's Scotland, whether it's Ireland, or whether it's Japan. We have our own identity. We have our own niche in the global spirits market, and we stand firmly and strongly on the quality that we are able to provide to our consumers. So we are happy, and we don't feel threatened by that.
Right.
Yeah.
So our respected Prime Minister talks about making in India,
Hanji.
which has now become making for the world also.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So is Amrut also there with plans to make for the world now? Like, do you think the global space will also open up to taste Amrut or Indian single malt?
Well, to answer your question, generally when you make a single malt, it's very specific to that distillery. So we cannot make for anybody else. Like Amrut cannot distill for anybody else. We distill malt spirit and we mature it for our purposes only, for creating the brand Amrut and for marketing Amrut. So the concept of we distilling for somebody else is too far-fetched at this point in time as far as Indian distilleries are concerned. So, and more than that, what we are witnessing, there is a dearth of good matured malt whiskey in the country today, Indian malt whiskey. So until that issue is addressed, I think all of us are very happy producing our range of single malt whiskeys and promoting our brand globally.
But I'm sure you must have global plans, right, to take your product to various global markets. So can you provide some details about that?
Yeah, see, now currently Amrut is present in 58 countries globally. We have close to about 50 expressions that are there globally. Barring, I think, continental Africa, we are present in South Africa, but the mainland Africa, we are not present at the moment. And South America, we have made a very small beginning. Having said that, these are two other areas where we would like to be present. Frankly enough, people say it's a nice problem to have when we don't have enough quantity of Amrut that can cater to the demand. The demand as of now is far more than what we can actually supply, cater to the market.
So because you're saying that there is a high demand, Can you give me, in percentage terms, maybe the percentage share of the global market on your revenues or the export share that you're having right now?
Export at this moment contributes close to about I would say about 10 to 15% of our net sales turnover,
Okay.
as far as Amrut is concerned. Mainly because we have split the entire category into economy and mass brands and into luxury, premium and luxury. So if you look at premium and luxury, exports is about 40% and domestic is 60%. So that is where we stand here.
Okay. So since we are talking about global now, the biggest news in the globe right now is Donald Trump coming back to power.
Right,
at
yeah.
the moment.
Yes.
And India is trying to have a trade deal with the US
Mhm.
so that perhaps we can avoid a lot of tariff threats that Trump
True.
has been talking about, the
Yes.
reciprocal tariffs and everything. Recently, the bourbon whiskey, the import duty was cut to 50%.
Yeah.
So, do you think Indian single malt has some sort of worry in over there with the trade deal happening if India goes on to give US more and more tariff benefits? Then is there a threat for that?
Absolutely not. We don't perceive that as a threat because bourbon whiskey is a different category altogether. You have world famous bourbons like Jim Beam is there. You have Jack Daniels, which is a Tennessee whiskey. So they're already present in India and they're doing quite well. So the Indian single malt whiskey category doesn't feel threatened by their presence. And even if tariffs do drop, bourbon has a different flavor profile in comparison to Indian single malts. So we don't feel threatened by that at all, please.
Right. Also talking about that, there is a lot of dumping of imported liquor in our Indian market.
Right.
So the associations have spoken about it. They have been asking the government to take certain steps. What, according to you, should be certain steps that the government must take?
I don't see much of dumping happening at the moment. The largest imported spirit is Scotch whiskey. I think the rest of the categories are way behind. So I don't see any dumping that is happening from Scotch at the moment. Most of the Scotch is either BIO, bottled in origin, which is very small. Majority of the blended Scotch is bottled in India. There's VAT 69, teachers, name it. So we don't feel threatened by that. And that's what it is, yeah.
Okay. So Amrut is a very strong player in a single malt business now. Like people know about Amrut. Everyone, when they go to the store, they're asking for Amrut. But there is also a trend of vodka picking up, gin picking up. Then there are the cocktail mixes that are growing in the market. So is Amrut planning about diversification of products at the moment?
But we're already there. We already have a premium gin in the name of Amrut Nilgiri's distilled gin, which is doing very well in the in the domestic market here. Of course, our range of malt whiskies we have. We also have a premium blended whiskey called Macintosh, which is also doing well in pockets in India, especially North India, in Karnataka. So already we have diversified into several other categories as well.
But any other further plans on that?
Nothing immediate, please. Nothing at the moment. Our hands are full with brands and products at the moment.
Right. So, and what's your immediate plan of ramping up your business to reach more consumers? Because the demand is growing, definitely.
Yes. Yeah.
So, what is that master stroke from you that you're planning?
That's a very good question. Anticipating that demand, we have increased our distillation capacity by 35% this year. And we have added extra distillation capacities at our plant on Mysore Road. And come 2025 onwards, we'll be distilling 35% more. So I think that will take time. In single malt whiskey industry, we need to have a lot of patience. Overnight, we cannot create a single malt whiskey brand. We have to distill it, mature it for a minimum period of 4 to 5 years, and we are in it for the long haul. So I think hopefully the demand will sustain until that time. Yeah.
Right. And since you already spoke about increasing your facilities, so right now what is happening is Carlsberg, United Breweries, they are putting in 3,500 crores into their capex program, which is probably the largest in over a decade. what is that thing that is happening in the industry that more and people are putting money into it? Be it Indian players, be it global players,
Yeah.
everyone wants to put money in this business, which unfortunately is seen as a sin industry in India.
Mhm.
So, what is that thing that which is pulling all the money?
I think the demand. I think the whether it's beer or spirits or wines, I think together we see the market growing. So India has one of the youngest. India has certainly the youngest, but the largest youngest population in the world. So I think looking at that, a foreseeable demand that is likely to come in the future, I think all of us, whether it's breweries, wineries, or distilleries, are planning to ramp up production to meet the foreseeable demand that's coming up.
Right. And going back to our first question, we started with talking about your new launch. So, if you can give us some details about what this product is and how is it different,
Right.
or if there is any trivia around this, if there is a story around the new product.
Oh, absolutely. I think the story is once again, as we're the trendsetters within the category, we're the pioneers of Indian single malt. And here is yet another a milestone, I should say, for Amrut and for the Indian single malt whiskey category, wherein we will be launching India's oldest single malt whiskey. It's called Amrut the Expedition,
Okay.
which is matured for a period of 15 years. Which is equivalent if you compare to a 45 to 50-year-old whiskey that's maturing in temperate climatic conditions, whether it's in Europe or in Scotland. So very proud that we've been able to achieve this milestone. And again, yeah, I mean it's sold in the luxury category. We're happy about that.
Okay. So here's the story about Amrut, about India, Make in India, that we are very proud about. Uh, Go to your friend's place or somewhere else. Probably there is a bottle of Scotch, and right next to it there is a bottle of Indian single malt. We don't know. Someday it might be 2 bottles of Indian single malt instead of that Scotch whiskey. Thank you.